Okay, so the math content of our new unit is called normal distributions. And that should sound unfamiliar to you, although when we go over some of the normal distribution stuff, mostly starting next class. Today we're kind of going to review some background information. Some of it will look a little familiar, but I think you'll be glad to have a complete review of that. Our new project, let me go back for a second, is called Making the Rules. And you're going to be surveying teacher and student attitudes about school rules. All right. In this class, you guys do an excellent job working alone, but I really feel like you need to grow in terms of working collaboratively. And so I want you to consider who you might want to work with as a partner. We have a lot of people missing right now, so the person that you might want to work with might be somebody who's going to show up later in class, hopefully. So just think about who you might want to work with as a partner. You don't have to, but I'm going to highly encourage that you work with a partner, okay? Oops, I didn't go through the rest of the agenda. We're going to try to figure out the things that we're going to need to know for this unit, and then we're going to do a little background review. I'll survey you about your partner. We're going to practice mean, median, and mode with our class data, and then we'll have a little bit of time for a survey and makeup work. Okay, so I think that you at least remember the terms mean, median, mode, and range. If you got them confused before, that's okay, we'll clear that up. If you know them solid, that's great too. All right, so I'm going to show you a short clip of a video. It's from a movie called Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Has anybody ever seen that movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High? It might look familiar. Maybe you saw it on TV once because it's kind of old. It's from back in the day. But in the little clip of the video, I'm asking these questions, and I want you to consider them. So look up from your phone so that you can see the questions. What rules are being broken? What's the purpose of those rules? How does the teacher feel? How does the student feel? Are these fair rules in your opinion? Okay, so in this unit, I'll be asking your opinion about school rules. So we'll watch a short clip.
On Cuba, outright. Think about it. Cuba owned by a disorganized parliament over 4,000 miles away. Cubans were in a constant state of revolt. In 1904, the United States decided to throw a little weight around and, Who is it?
Mr. Pizza Guy.
Again?
Mr. Pizza Guy, sir.
For the deviled cheese and sausage. Right here, dude. Here, dude.
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Mr. Spicoli, you're on dangerous ground here. You're causing a major disturbance on my time.
You know, I've been thinking about this, Mr. Hand. If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time? Certainly there's nothing wrong with a little feast on our time.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Spicoli. It is our time. Yours, mine, and everyone else's in this room. But it is my class. Hamilton, Brandt, Kornfeld, up front. Mr. Spicoli has been kind enough to bring us a snack. Be my guest. Help yourselves. Get a good one.
All right, so let's go back to our questions. All right. Sit down your phones, guys. I have questions for you. What rules are being broken in that video? Obviously, the teacher was mad about something, right? What was the rule that was being broken? Say again? A a student interrupting the class? Yeah, the pizza guy was interrupting the class and the student was kind of involved in that too. Any other rules? Do you guys have any classes where you're not allowed to have food in class?
PFIT.
PFIT, yeah. No food in PFIT. What about science? You have
No.
not in science class because of the lab. It's like a lab situation. There used to be rules too that you couldn't have food in any class. So that was probably a rule at that time too. That they couldn't have food in class. All right. How does the teacher feel about this situation? The teacher was very expressive with his face. How did he feel?
No.
Annoyed. That's a good word. He was annoyed. Anything else? Did you like see him get like so mad, and then he figured out, oh, I'm gonna get him. And he like figured out what he wanted to do. But how does the student feel? He was angry at the end, right? At the beginning, he wasn't angry, right? How did he feel at the beginning? Yeah. He was all calm. He's like, what's the problem? And then the teacher took his pizza, and he was kind of mad. Anything else besides mad? Okay. All right, what do you guys think about these rules? Do you think that the rules that were broken here, so there were actually kind of two rules. One of them you guys came up with, which was that the class was disrupted, right? And then the other one was an older kind of rule that you can't have food in class. So how about the disrupting class? Did you guys think that that was a fair rule that pizza guy can't come to the door and disrupt class? Two people over there think it's fair. Anybody think it's not fair? Raise your hand if you think that's not a fair rule. The pizza guy should be able to come to class.
Yes, we're a student, of course we think it's not.
It's not fair?
Yeah.
So students think, so Amro's saying, students feel like it's okay to disrupt class for pizza. And that's your opinion, that's okay. I'm trying to figure out, because, as far as class disruptions go, when I survey my students about things, a lot of times, students will say, Ms. Borrelli, you should be more chill, let us do what we want. And then a lot of times students say, Ms. Borrelli, you should throw out those students that are disrupting class. I want to learn, right? So, there's a balance there. Sometimes students do want the class to be, whatever. And sometimes they want the class to be more focused on learning. Welcome, Lisa. So let's take a quick vote on the two rules, okay? First rule, pizza guy should not disrupt class. Raise your hand if you think that's a fair rule. We should keep that rule. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, raise your hand if you think that's not a fair rule. We should get rid of that rule. Pizza guys should be allowed to disrupt class. Okay, one person thinks that we should get rid of it. All right, some people are a little non-committal because they're like, I'm not really sure. Okay. Second rule, should you be allowed to have food in class? All right, so the rule back then was you shouldn't be allowed to have food in class. So raise your hand if you think, yeah, that makes sense, there shouldn't be any food in class. This is a history class. Raise your hand if you think, yeah, we should be able to have food in history class. Okay. So those of you who are choosing to vote did think that we should be able to have food in class. And that's an interesting idea because really it's only been in the last couple years that almost every class lets you have food. And it was funny too because it kind of happened over COVID. So once COVID happened, we had to keep our masks on and then we were like, no, let's not eat in class, let's eat in the hallway or something. And then, as the mask came off, then we were allowed to eat again. All right, so this is the driving question for our unit. Remember that every unit has to do with math, but it also has to do with a real life project. How could you, as a concerned citizen, use z-scores and normal distributions to share opinions of teachers and students regarding school rules and influence change? So thinking about that question here, we're going to try to each write something that we need to know. Now the things that we need to know, they might be like real life things for this project, or they might be math things, okay? So looking at these words here, I want you to think about something that you're going to need to know in order to do this project. And you're going to type on a line. If you are still rebooting, I'll type for you. You can tell me what to type, okay? You can choose a line by putting your cursor on it, and then people will know that one's claimed. So I can see I have 9 people on these slides, and hopefully I'm about to get a few more. Put your cursor on one of those lines to claim it as your own. Maybe type a star or something because they're not showing up yet. All right, and here's what we're trying to figure out. What do I need to know in order to answer this question? How could you as a concerned citizen use z-scores and normal distributions to share opinions of teachers and students regarding school rules and influence change? All right, let me pause my recording. Okay, so moving on. These are all things that we are going to talk about in the unit. Today we're just reviewing some background ideas so that we'll be ready to learn the math of z-scores and normal distributions next class. And then we'll also figure out how that's going to help us share opinions, and I'll explain the format of the project. All right. So here's another short video. This is a cute little one about mean, median, and mode, just to help you remember which is which. Does anybody remember which one is the one where you find the middle number? Is that mean, median, or mode? Middle number. Anybody remember? Okay, so that's the kind of question that you're asking yourself as you watch this short video. It's it's kind of like one of those educational PBS videos, and it's very short. But the idea that you're trying to get from this is afterwards, if I ask you which one's the middle number, you all know, okay? All right, so we'll watch this little video. It might have an ad, I don't know. We'll see if it has an ad. No ad.
Mean, median, and mode. Mean, median, and mode.
How do you find the mean?
Add up the numbers in the data set. Divide the total by the number of items. The answer is the mean or average. Mean, median, and mode.
But how do you find the median?
Arrange the numbers in order, from the lowest to the highest values. The middle number is the median for an odd number of items. The average of two middle numbers is the median for an even number of items. Mean, median, and mode. Mean, median, and mode.
How do you find the
Just
mode?
find a number that repeats most often, and that number is the mode. If you find no number that repeats most often, then there is no mode. Mean, median, and mode. Mean, median, and mode. Mean, median, and mode.
Okay, so are you guys ready to answer the question now? Mean, median, or mode? Which one is the middle number? Median, very good. All right, so let's see what we're gonna do with that. I think we're gonna do a quick partner survey. So even if your partner that you would like to work with is not here, you can still click on the survey here, and you can fill out this short partner survey, and then we'll take a break, and then we're going to do some math with that mean, median, and mode, okay? So on slide 7, click on the partner survey. Even if you really hate the idea of having a partner, you can click on it. There will be an option to not have one, but I'm highly recommending partners. You got 4.3 repeating? Okay. So let's go back to our slide. This one. All right, so we said it was 52 divided by 12, which was 4.3 repeating. Okay, so that's our mean. Now we have to do the median. Do you guys remember in that video, they told you what to do when there's two numbers in the middle? Did you guys find the two numbers in the middle? Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to highlight those. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Highlight those. We have two numbers in the middle. So what number would the median be if I have two 5s in the middle? 5. It is 5, yeah. But what if they weren't the same number, Dion? Do you remember what to do? That's true. So like say the numbers were like 10 and 20 in the middle, you would add them together, divide by 2, and then in that case the median would be 15. All right, but since they're the same number, we already know that the average of 5 and 5 is 5. Like that's not something that you have to do math for. But if you want to follow the rule, you can. 5 plus 5 is 10. Divide by 2 and you still get 5. So for the median, I'm going to write that. It's going to be 5 plus 5 divided by 2, which is 5. All right, and what was the mode of this data? The mode was 5, good. All right, so if we look at the mean is closer to agree a little than agree a lot, but the median and the mode are both agree a lot. So what I want you to do is be ready with your answer for this one. And this is the kind of question where there's not just one right answer. It is possible to have a wrong answer, but there's more than one right answer if you can explain yourself, okay? So you might say that the best one was the mode because, or the best one was the median because, or the best one was the mean because. If you can give a reason for it, there's more than one way you can answer this. So if I asked you, as a class, how do we feel about school lunch, right? Then we should be able to say either that we agree a lot or we agree a little as a class. So take a minute and choose which one you think. I'm going to have everybody vote which one you think in just a minute. All right, so for this last one, most people voted for median or mode, but we went over reasons why any of those could be true. Oops, I forgot this one here. All right, we're going to do this one together, and then we're going to do one on Pear Deck. So I polled my family members to see how many miles they would travel to attend a family reunion in Baltimore. And these are the results. These are how many miles people would have to travel. So what we're going to do now is find the mean. Oh, this is a Pear Deck. This is the one you're going to do in Pear Deck. I'm missing one. This is the one we're going to do together. How many hours do you spend playing and practicing a team sport each week? Now, if your sport's not in season, you can pick a different season. But if you don't do a team sport, that's also fine, okay? You can put a 0. So I want you to think about that number and estimate it in your head. And then I'm going to add your data here, right? How many hours in a week do you spend playing and practicing a team sport? Kenny?
0.
0. Kelly? 0. And Kevin? No team sport? Okay. Hi? No, it could be like a rec league or another league. Okay. You can give me some hours for that. In a week, how many hours would you do that? 4? Okay. Joseph?
0.
Okay. Leon? When it's football season, how many hours a week do you spend in practice? Or practice and games? Think about that, add it up, and come back. Amro, do you have an answer? How many hours a week do you spend playing and practicing a team sport?
During school?
During your season. Lonnie, do you play team sport? No, so should I put 0? Okay. Stephanie? Wendy?
0.
Melissa? 0? Araceli?
0.
I can't hear, sorry.
0.
0? Okay. All right, so Amro, Dion, you guys ready yet?
18.
18? Did I ask you, Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay. Dion, you have a number?
Oh, like 18.
18 also? Okay. All right. So, I'm on the wrong side, but let's go back. We're on slide 9. Nope. Wait, did you guys just delete my slide? Guys, if whoever deleted my slide, can you undelete it, please? Just hit undo. Thank you. Thanks. All right, so let's put the data in. I'm going to put it in order. How many zeros do we have? We've got, I think, 9 zeros. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we have 4, 18, 18. Okay, so go ahead and find the mean. You're going to add them up and divide by 12. Find the median, the middle number, and the mode. Okay? All right, so on your Desmos, let's find the mean by adding them up and dividing by 12. Amber, did you find the mean yet? Okay, go to your Desmos, add them up, divide by 12. I might have to add the zeros in. Very good. All right, so a lot of you are getting 40 divided by 12. What is that, 40 divided by 12? So, Tian, you're adding the answers. Thank you. All right, so a lot of you did 40 divided by 12, and you got 3 repeating. Is anybody getting anything different for that? Let's put it in there. So 40 over 12 gives you that 3.3. And then the median is your middle number. They're already in order. And you had 2 zeros in the middle, so that still gives you 0. And the mode is also 0. So in this case, if I wanted to say, in general, people in this class play team sports, how many hours would I say? In general, would I say 3.3 hours, or should I say 0 hours?
0.
Why?
Because that's what most people do.
Okay, so he's going with the mode there. Dion says 0 because most people play 0 hours. Anybody want to choose a different answer? Okay, so it's true that most people play 0 hours, but not everyone, right? We have, when it's your season, if you play a team sport, you might be playing 18 hours, or if you play pickup games, you might be playing like 4 hours. All right, what is the range of the data? Does anybody remember that word range, how you would find that? The range tells you how spread out the data is, and it's going to be the largest minus the smallest. So we're going to do largest minus smallest. So in that case, it would be 18 minus 0, which is 18. And that just tells you how spread out the data is. If the range is really small, it means everybody's answers are really close together. And if the range is large, it means the answers are far apart. In this case, they're pretty far apart because most people either don't play at all, or if you play for South Lakes, you play a lot. Okay? So it tells you how spread out the data are. Okay? All right, so I'm going to have you guys go to joinpd.com, and I'm going to start this up. Let me find you a code. Add-ons. And you guys are going to do these numbers and on the Pear Deck. If you haven't finished answering all the questions, please make sure you do finish, but let's look at some of your classmates' answers, okay? All right, so a lot of you guys, when you double checked your work, you ended up with about 411.7 miles as the average distance people would have to travel. And that's actually a lot, right? 411.7 miles, that's pretty far. But then the median is only 40 miles. So the middle number that people would have to travel is only 40 miles. That's much more reasonable. The mode is 5 miles, and that is the thing that happened the most. But would you say that 5 miles represents everybody in this group?
No.
Yeah, maybe not the 5 this time. If the mode was like our mode up here with all the zeros, like that was really almost everybody had 0 for their team sports, right? That one was a really good mode. This 5's not a really strong mode because it doesn't really represent everybody. But it is the mode, it's the right answer, okay? So over here, which number most accurately represents the center of the data? I saw some really good reasons for choosing the median and also some really good reasons for choosing the mean. So this student said 40 because it's the middle number with 3 higher and 3 lower. And that makes sense to me. For the range, the student has it set up correctly, just they didn't finish it.
I don't know.
You just subtract. That's all. All right, I think the student maybe just had a typo in calculating the mean, but here, which one represents the center? They chose the median for the center because it was the middle, and they did calculate the range. Okay, the student also chose the median as the best way to represent the center of the data. And 2,595 tells you the difference between the high and low values. Well said. All right, this student shows exactly how they calculated the mean. Very nice. And this student said that the mean is the best way because it will show the average number of miles. And here, the student also chose the mean because it shows those that had to travel from a long distance. So if we use the 40, it can be good to show that some people are above and some are below. But if we use the 411, that really shows that some people are going to have to travel basically across the country to get to this reunion. And so they could both be good centers. And sometimes it's nice to like tell both. Like the median number of miles is 40, that's not so bad. However, the mean is 411 because some people have to travel really far. And then I like that this student told us that the range tells us how spread out the data are. So if you think about that, 2,605, would you say that those numbers are close together or pretty spread out? Would you rather drive 5 miles or 2,600? Yeah, I'd rather drive 5 because they're really spread out. That's like a lot different there. All right, so if you have not finished your answers yet, please finish those. I'll close the Pear Deck in a little bit, but not yet. And let's go back to our slides. All right, so we have a little time left in class. If you opened your email and you saw your progress report, you might see that there's something on there that you still need to make up. Also, we had a project due at the end of the quarter that we didn't actually count for last quarter. And so that could be something to work on. So you could work on project 7, other makeup work. And let's all please click on the survey that's on slide 12. I have a 4th quarter survey for you. And then after that, you can find some makeup work to work on, okay? Yes, Kai?